The giant struggled in pain. At this moment, Nano, who kicked the ground as soon as he saw Cole's signal, and the others rushed towards the communication channel with all their strength. "You are amazing." The male leader cheered when he saw the students running towards this side with the same cooperation as the adventurers. "The 7th team is very good. The assessment of ready combat power from the school district side is worthy of the name. They must rely on the skills recognized by superior adventurers and rely on determination and courage to overcome this terrible and trembling despair." The 7th squad that absorbed Lefiya's teachings chose the best action, and even if it was just for a moment, they definitely understood the ground master. However, as expected, they are still students with little experience. Suddenly, a Fong Liger aimed at the back of the last boy in line and launched a strong attack. Cole quickly shoved the gauntlet into the monster's mouth as it turned its head, but it too was overwhelmed, and Nano and Milia, who were about to enter the communication channel first, stopped in their tracks. The girl's screams reached my ears, and the monster wanted to use its violent strength and momentum to pierce its prey, and Cole struggled desperately. Cole, overcome by the violent chaos, noticed a few things. The powerful force of the bite seemed to crush the wrist at any moment. The monster has bristly hair all over its body. Red eyes as if they were sick. There is also the flesh and blood still stuck in the mouth and the shiny, deep purple crystal. Enhanced species. The enormous impact pierced Cole. So he understood everything. That was the last meeting. After Cole and the others defeated them, they ignored the group of monsters that fell. The 7th squad was too tired and too lazy to deal with the magic stone buried by the corpse. Damn it! Cole continued to resist and at the same time spat out words of reprimand at himself. This Fong Liger, many magic stones, were eaten from the corpse. Then, using enhanced potential, he caught up to Cole who was at the end of the line. The exhaustion of the body and the oppression of the spirit made them forget to undergo post-war treatment. Negligence caused by limit states. These are just small, unnoticeable errors. However, in the dungeon, it is a real, fatal error. Cole cursed his insanity. Lefiya obviously emphasized so many times, it doesn't matter when, only the magic stone must be dealt with. Milia, who turned back, shot an arrow, which pierced the improved monster's temple. But the monster still didn't fall, and then it took another hit from Nano's staff and hit hard before finally dying. Attack and defense are completed in just a few moments. Nano and the others rushed over and immediately helped Cole up, but it was still too late. Waving his arms, Goliath, who was struggling in pain, didn't know if he did it on purpose, but he saw that he fell back against the wall with the communication channel. The next moment, there was a bang and the walls in the deepest part of the hall were broken. The persistent sound of crushing sound and vibration did not disappear, and Nano whispered at this time. The giant slowly straightened up and in front of him was an unrecognizable communication channel. The only cave leading to the next floor collapsed and even the inside was crushed and finally falling rocks blocked the surrounding area. A corner of the maze wall collapsed as if under the weight of a giant. Missing the hopeful exit, Nano's knees gave way and she fell to the ground. Cole and Milia even forgot to breathe, and their faces were stained with despair. Standing up, Goliath, who had regained his sight, faced the poor students. The monster army also came after them. The front is a terrifying giant and the back is a large number of monsters. This time, looking at the deadly siege, Nano and the others really heard the broken voice in their hearts. Goliath approached with the ground shaking. The monsters gradually tightened their siege net. The monster's relentless violence is about to destroy the students' bodies and minds. Suddenly, a magic. Saved fire javelins. Right now. A storm of magic bullets fiercer than monsters crashed into the hull. A large number of flaming arrows shot into the monster's back and then exploded, burning in flames. The powerful firepower even stopped Goliath in his tracks. In an instant, the dying screams sounded one after another, and the students who couldn't move suddenly realized and turned their heads to look back. Depth of vision. Before the lobby entrance. Standing there were a boy with a long sword and an elf with a short staff. Milia and Cole's eyes widened, and Nano was the first to cry. In front of the line of sight, Nano and the others were all present, and after confirming this, Lefiya rushed over. "Luke, go help Nano and the others. It doesn't matter if you run out of props." "Understood." Lefiya let go of Luke, who was running along, accelerated sharply and cut through the panicked monster army after being attacked by surprise. The short sword, Tears of Ashes, split the Minotaur, and then she jumped with one foot and disintegrated the unicorn rabbits smoothly while dancing in the air. Her whole body was burning, and the scream, Fong Liger, rushed forward. She mercilessly hit the monster's fingertips and broke their necks. Luke had wounds on his face and many signs of damage to his armor. He must have forced his way through the 17th floor recklessly after hearing Goliath's roar. Milia caught the bottle that was thrown, and couldn't hold back the tears in her eyes. Nano also vigorously wiped her wet cheeks with her arms. "What's the matter, Cole? You've become quite manly after not seeing him for a while." Luke smiled meaningfully when he saw the werewolf boy wrapped in blood-stained bandages. Cole waited a moment, then laughed, took the recovery medicine and poured it over his head. Then Luke wiped his smile, angrily swept away the approaching monsters, and protected his injured comrades. Nano and the others cannot be fully recovered with just the props in their hands, but they can be left to Luke for now. In the corner of the field of vision, Lefiya confirmed the situation of Luke and the others, and calmly looked at the battle situation. About 15 different monsters, and a floor master. Leaving aside the ground master, the current Lefiya can immediately eliminate the surrounding enemies, but is looking at me. Goliath didn't launch an attack immediately, but looked at her closely. He peeked at Lefiya and the others like a baby who had gained knowledge, and then he puffed up his excessively thick pectoral muscles and let out a loud noise. The enormous volume caused people to cover their ears, and the roar spread to every corner of the maze. This was the call that drove Nano and the others into a desperate situation just now, and it was also the howl that Lefiya and the others heard before they rushed here. It didn't take long for the secondary adventurer's web of perception to pick up the noisy footsteps of the monsters beginning to move. At the entrance of the hall, monsters began to gather in groups of 3 or 4. The terrain was destroyed and new individuals could not be born in the dungeon, so one should plan to call all the remaining monsters on the 17th floor here. Only one enemy action changed the situation of the battle. That Goliath is very smart. Nano and the others would nod their heads incessantly if they heard Lefiya's conjecture. Then he said that the floor master in front of him was very special. He even threw stones at the magicians and blocked everyone's retreat. Among monsters of the same type born in the dungeon, naturally some individuals are weak while others are strong. And this rule also applies to floor masters with long production intervals. It seems that this Goliath belongs to the strong individual who won the lottery. Why did she choose this time? Lefiya frowned. The monsters will swarm in this hall, so there is no point in escaping through the back passage. Sooner or later, they will be caught up by the army somewhere. Although Nano and the others have regained their physical strength, the mental toll may not be reparable. She didn't want the current 7th squad to go on an endless forced march. Furthermore, the large passage connected to the Wall of Sighs could also allow Goliath to walk in it. The only thing she doesn't want to do in a narrower space. Now that the communication channel leading to the 18th floor has collapsed, to break through this situation, defeating the enemy leader is the most suitable way. Lefiya and the giant facing each other looked at each other. The magic sung in advance is summoning magic. Now start chanting a long text, impossible. That Goliath is waiting for me to sing. Before entering the hall, as a precaution, she used the duet skill, place a wrist-shaped magic circle on her left glove. Monsters are coming. The giant's eyes were still following his own movements. With all the elements gathered, Lefiya came to a conclusion and abandoned the bombardment that brought the dead back to life. Currently being pinched by giants and miscellaneous soldiers, it would be very disadvantageous to perform a super long chant while protecting the 7th squad.